Hello everyone, my name is Alex Linus, and tonight I will be reviewing the claim of Alex Broad, which was MSG is safe for the human body to consume. He has 5 secondary claims. One, that the so-called Chinese restaurant symptom that prompted companies to conduct tests failed to firmly connect MSG to bad health. 2, MSG or monosodium glutamate has been around for centuries and is in fact familiar with the human body. 3, MSG is approved by governments worldwide. 4, studies that did find a link between MSG and health hazards are faulty and inconclusive. And 5, such studies have involved people of different size, age, and gender, but the outcome is still the same. His first claim, which was that companies that tested to see if there was a connection between MSG and bad health and failed to find a connection, he states that tests that did find a relationship between MSG and symptoms were either faulty or inconclusive. Now, just because a relationship wasn't found or found to be inconclusive does not mean a relationship does not directly exist. Just because it was inconclusive, it was found to be inconclusive, which means it was just hard to find. Furthermore, he does not actually state what the symptoms of this Chinese restaurant symptom actually were. And people who did claim to have an allergy or sensitivity to MSG reported symptoms of headache, flushing, sweating, nausea, and signs of weakness. Furthermore, he also states that a study found that a dish of lo mein noodles contained 3,460 milligrams of sodium, which may be of greater concern than the MSG. The problem with this statement is that MSG stands for monosodium glutamate, which contains sodium in it, and would therefore contribute to that sodium content. So stating that it's not, you shouldn't be concerned about the MSG with this meal, you should be concerned about the high sodium content, is contradictory when it's the MSG's reason, might be the MSG's reason that the sodium content is that high to begin with. His second claim that MSG has been around for centuries and is familiar with the human body is true. One of his sources, PhD Dharmananda, found that glutamate was the 3rd most abundant amino acid in the body, or in the blood, and is commonly found in natural foods. So with this information, he states that since it's commonly found and is in the body, it should be safe to consume. However, the same article found that one of the processes involved with the disease ALS was damage to nerve cells by accumulation of glutamate. While it's impossible to significantly lower glutamate in the body, you can avoid excessive intake of glutamate by minimizing ingestion of foods with MSG. So people with this disease or who are in danger of this disease would benefit from avoiding foods containing MSG. His third claim that MSG is approved by governments worldwide, he states that the FDA considers the addition of MSG to food to be generally recognized as safe, and also states that organizations such as the Food and Agriculture Organization and the World Health Organization confirmed that monosodium glutamate was safe. However, there are many things that are deemed safe for consumption for many, but aren't safe for some to consume. Examples include peanuts or shellfish, which are deemed safe for consumption and sold across the country, yet some people could have an adverse reaction to them and will require medical attention. His fourth claim that studies did find a link between MSG and health hazards are faulty and inconclusive was stated earlier in his first claim. Now, to support this claim, he provides a series of tests that were conducted. One of these tests was a double-blind placebo-controlled study consisting of 130 subjects. In the first set of this test, 50 people responded to MSG only, and in the second section of the test, 37 subjects responded to 5 grams of MSG. Now, these tests were not reproducible. However, people did have a reaction to them, and they were the symptoms that they reported earlier. So some people do have found to have a sensitivity to this. Furthermore, Catherine Zaratsky, a certified dietitian, states that a small percentage of people may have reactions to MSG. And his fifth claim, that the studies involve people of different size, age, and gender, but the outcome was the same, is really just another point on his previous claim. It doesn't really have much to stand up on its own, other than just it's safe for kids and pregnant women to consume, even though it's just adding on more information from his previous claims. In conclusion, while MSG may be safe for most people to consume, there may be a very small percentage of people who are MSG sensitive or may have a reaction to MSG. Thank you for your time.
All right, the main and secondary claims are listed clearly. You go right and follow the order very easily. The signpost on the first one was fine. It's a little bit awkward the way you phrase the point that you're making here, but in essence, his proof is that the results were inconclusive, but his claim was that it's safe to use. Well, if the results are inconclusive, then you can't determine that it is safe for people to use. That's the argument that you want to make. And you have the right argument there, but the phrasing of it was a little bit awkward. I think at this point it would be also helpful if you could list, I mean, you do list some of the symptoms that people claim, but if you could see, for instance, if there was clinical data about people making these arguments that you could cite, reports to doctors, for instance, that would substantiate it. And then, although the general studies may be inconclusive, we have clinical data that shows people do have reactions. I think that would make that argument a little bit better. The sodium argument, I think, is okay. Basically, he says we should be worried about the sodium, but MSG has sodium and it adds to the total. So if there is a problem from sodium, MSG aggravates that. And by the way, that would be a problem. Then the issue about how long MSG has been around and all that kind of stuff, I think that that's okay. By the way, I think a good response to this would be, and as long as it's been around and known, we've been having people who've been complaining about having reactions to it. If you get some historical examples there, that would be really helpful. I think the argument about the fact that it's generally seen as safe, and you've taken a very reasonable position here. You're not saying it's dangerous for everybody to use. You're not saying it's dangerous for most people to use. You're saying that some people have sensitivities, and you use comparisons that I think are pretty reasonable, and almost everybody knows. They're common knowledge. You don't need a piece of evidence that says people have reactions to peanuts or shellfish. People know those kinds of things. Well, this is something that people may have a reaction to, and these people are the ones that have to worry about this. Saying that it's completely safe is probably not doing them justice. And then the last two arguments are really about the studies again, and I think that we've talked about what the general issue here is. I did like the quote that you had there, that there's a small percentage of people that may have reacted to this, and it's a nutritionist. A little bit more information like that, and this would be stronger. I thought your reasoning on this was really solid. Your evidence was okay, and the way you argued that the advocate's evidence was problematic, that was the strength of your position. All right, thank you.